Virginia Beach Development Authority. Today is Tuesday, August 12th, 2025. First item on the agenda is public comment. Although we didn't have anybody sign up by the deadline, which was Friday at 3, we've had a couple of folks sign up to speak, and so I'll go ahead and call them. They'll each have 3 minutes to speak. First person on the list is Sybil Pappas from HRT.
Going over here, that was a question, not a statement. So, I also have a handout. Is it okay to hand something out?
Sure. Thanks, Steve.
So, when's the 3 minutes?
Oh, go ahead and start.
Well, thank you all for having me. So I'm handing out a sheet right now that summarizes what is great about the project that y'all are going to talk about today. And I'm going to start with my list of what I think is incredible about this project. Taking it from the top, I would say it's incredible that this is the first time that I'm here briefing the authority about a $130 million investment in Virginia Beach. I haven't had the ability to make this presentation in the couple of years we've been working on this project, so I really appreciate standing before you now to talk about what's true. I reckon you're going to hear, since I'm not part of the briefing, I reckon you're going to hear from the Deputy City Manager that this is a project that doesn't support economic development, that it doesn't further the goals of what EDA is created to do. So I want to talk through what is true. What is true is this project on your fact sheet creates 125 new jobs in Virginia Beach. Those are $70, $80, $90,000 jobs. Those aren't $15 an hour Amazon-like jobs. It invests $130 million that we have collected from not Virginia Beach. This is money that we've competed on the federal arena to be able to win. And we've competed with other very sophisticated projects across the country, and we were selected to win federal funding. And that is contributing to the $130 million with $0 investment from the city of Virginia Beach. We heard economic development was critical, and that was part of how our project won this money competitively. We are able to save the city of Virginia Beach $650,000 every single year by virtue of not driving from downtown Norfolk to the oceanfront to start transit service to pick up our first passenger. $650,000, which is a number that increases as the cost of operation increases at HRT, but $650,000 is assured. So is that tax revenue? It's not. But when I go look at corporate landing, I see that GEICO, the highest taxpayer, is paying less than half of that a year in taxes to the city of Virginia Beach. So more than double the contribution of GEICO coming right off the top of Virginia Beach's bill every single year. Right now, Virginia Beach pays for about $8.5 million of transit service every year. So that's $8.5 million minus $650,000 in the first year we opened the building. I'm not sure why anyone would say no to that deal, but I've heard it said that HRT didn't have an agreement to be able to get to this point. Even the suggestion of that is so inane. Why would HRT have hired Williams Mullen and spent $5.5 million to get to this point?
3 minutes, Madam Chair.
Thanks so much for having me.
All right, thank you, Sybil. Next on the agenda is Steve Romine from Williams Mullen.
I'll try to follow up on what Sybil said. Good morning, Steve Romine, Williams Mullen. I represent HRT. I have limited time, so I'll only hit some highlights. The critical Southside Operations Facility was never fully presented to the VBDA for fair consideration. We maintain, and I hope you will agree, this project should be judged on its merits, not on false narratives or pretense. What's reality? VBDA selected and directed HRT to the site. VBDA adopted a resolution in 2021. Immediately within a month, we met with 40 staffers to launch this project. VBDA could not perform under the resolution because they could not deliver a usable, developable lot. HRT in good faith, diligently and continuously worked with VBDA and the city for the next 3 years to engineer the site, waiting on stormwater modeled for calculations. HRT could not buy a pig in the poke. The VBDA maps immediately said this was under contract to HRT and was consistently under contract to HRT for 3 years. We work with many of the people in this room today. In fact, on June 24, 2024, Ms. Jarrett informed HRT there was an acceptable resolution of the stormwater management issues, and HRT ended up agreeing to pay $500,000 to expand the pond. The election occurs in November 24. Immediately thereafter, the fully negotiated, staff-supported purchase and sale agreement is pulled from your agenda by the city manager. No action is taken. Project is suddenly and coincidentally a bad fit for Corporate Landing Park. In conclusion, don't let false narratives kill an excellent project. I'll name 3 you may hear. HRT never had a deal. Not true, HRT had a deal. VBDA acknowledged it and worked with HRT for 3 years to finalize and consummate a PSA. During the 3 years, that map showed us under contract. Secondly, false narrative. The project's a bad economic development fit. $130 million fully funded, shovel-ready project, no city contribution. Can't be moved because of the dollars designated to the site. 125 full-time jobs, $60,000 to $90,000. We're paying full market price for the property, asking no exceptions or variances, and fully funding the stormwater capacity needed. Thirdly, false narrative. The project's a bad fit. Not true. A high-tech operation building that fits the exact use and vision for Corporate Landing while supporting every point of VBDA's stated mission. Each of you has a vote and are responsible for doing what is in the best interest of the citizens of Virginia Beach. Integrity and fair dealing requires the authority of the city to do the right thing and let this project see the light of day and be fully briefed and considered on its significant merits. This would be transformational for the city and for Corporate Landing Park. Thank you for your time. I'm sorry I had to read that quickly, but I have limited time. We were not informed of the meeting today. We're not allowed to come and brief it appropriately.
Thank you, Mr. Ryan. Last person signed up to speak is Rob Sullivan.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, my name is Rob Sult. I'm a resident of Virginia Beach. I'm a commercial real estate broker, not involved in this transaction. And I stand before you today as co-chair of the H.R. Aker Local Affairs Committee. H.R. Aker, if you're not familiar with them, is the largest member advocacy group for the commercial real estate industry here in all of Hampton Roads. The Local Affairs Committee has been briefed on this project and unanimously has supported its use at the park. Here are just a couple of highlights. I think the bullet points have been cited before. This project location furthers the integration of a regional metro integrated system by decentralizing bus transit in multiple locations. As cited before, an annual savings to Virginia Beach of over $650,000, which increases annually. It provides jobs. It is, if you've seen the package, a state-of-the-art facility with renewable energy sources. And finally, the most significant is that it is got significant federal grant money, which is site-specific. Again, our Local Affairs Committee unanimously endorsed this project being located at the park, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you. All right. Next on the agenda, we have a review and approval of the meeting minutes for our July 8th meeting. Has everybody had a chance? All right, we've got a motion from Mr. Bronke. Second from Mr. Jen. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Next item is review of financial statements for July 2025. Mr. McKenzie.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the VBDA, councilmen. I guess this will be a little different, or not a little different, but not used to being the first presenter every time since I've started. So But anyways, I'll be going over the monthly cash flows and financial activity for the month of July 2025. For the operating account, we had a beginning cash balance of $7,264,363. Cash receipts during May, we actually have a new cash receipt for May for July. And this is for the May and June operating profit share for the Atlantic Park Entertainment Venue, the Dome. We received $13,110. They will be paying us they will be paying us the operating and the capital maintenance operating share on a quarterly basis. And since they opened in May, we only had 2 months. The operating, for every ticket that they sell, they give us 50 cents in the profit share. And then for the capital maintenance, they give us $1 for every ticket that they sell. So you'll see the capital maintenance in a couple slides. Also for cash receipts, we received interest income of $10,657. For cash disbursements, we had just a little under $50,000 for offsite infrastructure and asset construction through June 30th, 2025. That was paid to MVP. We had a little over $15,000. This was for the normal monthly conduit management payment covering the period of July 15th to August 15th. That was paid to Global Links. $6,835 for legal services for the Atlantic Park project through May 31st, 2025, paid to Davis Commercial Law Group. And then finally, $5,619 for the Innovation Park subdivision plot and master plan. That was paid to VHB, and that leaves us with an ending cash balance of July 31st. That leaves us an ending cash balance on July 31st, 2025 of $7,105,813. Also for the operating account, we have the amounts that at the beginning of the month, they were paid out by the VBDA and then reimbursed by the city just before the end of the month. For the Atlantic Park project, we had 2 payments. Draw number 29 for the entertainment venue paid to Venture Waves was $140,651. And draw number 29 for offsite infrastructure, also paid to Venture Waves, was $287,167. For Innovation Park, we also had 2 payments. We had draw number 21 for offsite construction work through June 30th, 2025. That was paid to Architectural Graphics for $282,233. And for $2,788, we had geotechnical testing services through May 30th, 2025. That was paid to VHB. Again, 2 payments to Corporate Landing. Draw request number 3 for offsite infrastructure and utility construction paid to Seabreezy Enterprises for $867,116. And Global Way and Pond C construction admin paid to VHB for $6,682. And then finally, we had a payment to CityView 2 for real estate, it was related to CityView 2 for real estate tax incentive number 6, which was part of the development agreement. That was paid to the Constitution for $308,000. Next, we have the capital maintenance accounts. During July, we had a parking repaving of Lot D. They also replaced 7 HVAC units and replaced some of the stage lighting. This was this was split with Live Nation, and the payment was $173,776. That leaves us an ending appropriations in the amphitheater account of $407,721. The monthly human services building, we received the monthly lease payment for August of $47,910. And they had an expense for roof replacement, which was part of the construction and replacement phase, pay app number 6. That was paid to Simpson Unlimited for $35,735. And then then we have a new capital maintenance account as well related to the dome. And as I mentioned, for every ticket they sold, the revenue share is $1 that's paid to the VBDA that is set aside for future capital maintenance and repairs. For May and June performances, that amount was $26,220, and so that would, since it's a new account, that will also be the ending balance of the capital maintenance account. For the final capital maintenance account, the VB National Golf Course, we had the monthly revenue share agreement, we received $28,296. Then we had expenses for interior renovations, construction mobilization, paid to Van Art Construction for $114,696. We had roof replacement, this was for construction materials and repairs, pay application number 2 to Integral Contracting LLC for $54,219. We had fire alarm, design, materials, and repairs paid to BFPE for just over $15,000. And finally, we had construction administration for roof replacement, for the roof replacement and the HVAC replacement, paid to HBA Architecture for $4,717. Then for the incentive and initiative account, for the facade improvement grant, we reimbursed Beach Bully Barbecue for removing and replacing damaged siding and also for repainting signage. The amount was $7,500. Atlantic Avenue Association was reimbursed for signage restoration for $2,158. The ending facade improvement grant balance was $73,569. And then for the small business grant, we had reimbursement for expanding marketing and production services to Open Doors Media Solutions for $5,454. And we had support for publishing expenses paid to Great Company Limited for $3,250, leaving us an ending balance of $488,122. And then the final account to go over is the EDIP grant summary. The only activity during the month of July, we received from the city, we received the 2026 EDIP appropriation. And that was received during July of 2025, or appropriated during July of 2025. That was $1,045,968. That leaves us with an ending EDIP appropriations of $12,166,585. The amount encumbered under Part A on July 31st was $5,989,612, and the amount encumbered under EDIP Part B was $1,670,000. That leaves us with an ending EDIP grants that will be available for future awards of $5,176,303. Any questions?
Any questions for Howie?
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much, Howie. The next item on the agenda is for a request for approval of a resolution to revise the terms of the Lachelle Place agreement.
Good morning, Councilmember Belushi, Madam Chair, members of the authority.
Good morning.
So we're gonna be bringing you an update on the purchase agreement for Lachelle Place. Look at the disclosures, with the company being Vidar. So as a refresher, we're talking about 2656 Lachelle Place, roughly 16,410 square feet of light industrial space in District 3. So Lachelle Place was marketed to an out-of-state defense manufacturer to establish operations. City Council approved the transfer of the building on January 7th with the term that the sale needed to be finalized within 6 months, or it would revert back to the city. The property was conveyed on March 17th, with the deadline for the sale being on September 17th. And then BBDA approved the sale of Lachelle Place to Vidar for $1.3 million. A little refresher on Project Optic or Vidar's project parameters. So their goal is to create 40 new jobs in the city of Virginia Beach at roughly $75,000 average annual salary and invest $2.69 million. So as an update, the company has asked to transition to a lease with an option to purchase while the owner is resolving a personal civil legal matter, which is preventing him from acquiring a new asset at this time. The lease would be a maximum of 2 years, $12,000 per month rent, triple net, with the rent proceeds credited to the purchase price. That $12,000 a month is based on roughly $8.77 price per square foot, which is in line with what was recommended in the appraisal of the building. The lease payments would be made to the BBDA and held until the end of the lease term. Once the sale is finalized or the lease term ends, as a reminder, all proceeds from the building have to be transferred back to the city. Half go into the CIP for the ITA acquisition and conformity program, and half are refunded to the Commonwealth of Virginia. So our recommendation is to approve the resolution to amend the terms of the sale of Lachelle Place. This is dependent on city council approval to modify terms of the transfer to extend the reverter date. Their meeting is happening on August 19th. I'd also like to say again that after discussions with the company, their intent is very much the same. They're still very confident and committed to establishing operations here. Just the pathway to get into acquisition of the building needed to change a little bit. And then any questions?
Any questions for Paige? All right, so we've got on the table a motion, or a resolution or a recommendation to amend the terms of the sale of Lachelle Place as defined or described by Paige.
With the lease with the option to purchase.
Motion to approve.
Got a motion for Mr. Franklin, second for Mr. Weisenseal. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Sign, that motion carries. Thank you. The next item is a request for approval to amend the town center security agreement.
Great. Good morning, Councilmember Bellucci, Madam Chair, members of the board. So last month, I was before you to talk about Town Center. There was a requested update on security and this situation here. We reported that, kind of went over the structure of Town Center and the garages that are publicly owned by VBDA and operated and managed by our city's parking agreement. There's a parking management office. There are 5 of them in Town Center. You can see they're all color-coded. You're most likely parked in orange garage today. And talked about how they're managed, and there's a TCAB, Town Center Advisory Board, that meets monthly, that represents all the stakeholders like Amanda Hoffler and Davaris and ourselves and CPDA. To talk about Town Center security issues, including the 3rd Precinct. They actively patrol, and actually recently, announced last month, apprehended some individuals that were causing issues. But as part of that, we talked about additional security measures that could happen. In June, this body adopted our renewal of our security contract. So in the garages, there's a company, Securitas, through Davaris, that has roving foot patrol and vehicles that monitor the security of the garages. That's in a 5-year term, was renewed in June. But there has been talk about additional security on the weekends for Securitas, and it would require an amendment to their contract. So there is one proposed for $50,000 for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday nights, an additional vehicle and support to increase that security with Davaris, and it would be amendment to that contract you approved in June. This is funded out of the SSD, the Special Service District, so it does not come out of VBDA operating, but is supported by TCAB and city staff, and we're asking for your approval of that amendment today.
All right, any questions for Emily? We hear a motion on the request to approve additional security patrol.
Motion.
Second. Got a motion from Mr. Keplinger and a second from Ms. Morgan. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. That motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Emily. Looks like you've got the next item.
Yes. So it's been a while since you've heard this. We have briefed intermittently, but I don't expect everybody to remember, so I'm gonna go through some background here. This is the 35th Street garage development at Oceanfront. The developer Suburban Capital LLC, you can see their disclosures. This is for a joint venture for a parking garage at 35th Street and Pacific Avenue at the oceanfront. So this did come before you, I don't expect anybody to remember, in 2021. As part of in 2020, the city adopted a CIP called the Resort District Parking CIP and funded it for $26 million for the idea to partner when a private developer is building a garage at the oceanfront to come in and get some public spaces so we have more public parking and better distribution across the oceanfront. So in 2021, when the Belvedere was being developed, pictured on the right at 36th Street, the city approached Suburban Capital and talked about partnering on a parking garage that they were thinking about building. No public parking currently exists north of 31st Street at the oceanfront. So in December 2021, BBDA and City Council approved the purchase for 200 spaces in that garage for $7 million. You can see where the new Hyatt Place was constructed and their current off-site service lot at 35th Street. I mentioned the city doesn't have assets north of 31st Street. You can kind of see how they're distributed now. There's about 5 garages there. BBDA actually owns 2 of them, a portion of 30th Street and 9th Street, but they're all operated and managed by parking management out of an enterprise fund. So since 2021, lots changed with challenging market and financial conditions. At that time, the cost to build a garage was $25,000 a space. As time progressed, construction pricing continued to escalate above that number and was kind of put on hold, but regular check-ins still occurred. They even achieved site plan approval back in 2022 when this was first adopted. You can see the garage here as approved, so Pacific Avenue is kind of in the front here. This is 35th Street and then Atlantic Avenue. You'll notice they do have some retail space along that ground level. About 2,200 square feet of that will be owned by BBDA and it's needed for parking management and resort management, but there's another 4,600 to remain for the developer's commercial leases. So the original proposal was for Suburban Capital to own the land and lease back the city spaces under a condo regime. Now the developer is going to convey the land to BBDA at no cost. 348 spaces, again, there's 200 that will be public. The city will pay for the cost to construct the garage. The total is not to exceed $13.35 million. It's just over $38,000 a space, inclusive of carrying costs and utility relocation, if needed. The work is ready to go. I mentioned there's site plan approval that could start this fall, would be done in 2026. BBDA would own the garage, similar to 9th Street or 30th. And the Parking Enterprise Fund would operate and manage the garage. There is a cost share between O&M expenses between the developer and the city worked out as well in the term sheet. So the request today, this is going to be heard by council for approval next Tuesday, August 19th. So the approval is contingent on on that approval next Tuesday as well. Any questions?
All right, that was a lot. Any questions for Emily? Mr. Brumke?
It was a lot. So basically, if I could just sum this up, where you're turning this over to a city-owned property that will have private space, can you, if I missed it in here, trying to follow all of it, can you tell me how the private space usage works from a financial standpoint?
Meaning that they make an operations and maintenance contribution and a capital contribution to reserves, and then they're able to utilize the spaces. Our parking management has progressed since we put 31st Street in place years ago because everyone's driven past the red spaces. And so we're not going to have segregated floor hotel spaces. Everything will be integrated. We'll manage and run the entire thing and maximize the amount of public parking.
Private spaces will be funded by contributions to the maintenance fund?
The ongoing maintenance or operations cost, yes, sir.
So Alex, Suburban's putting in the land before we were buying.
Correct.
I missed that part, I forgot that part.
That's a big difference.
Yes, okay, thank you.
Emily, can you, because I didn't experience this until just recently, can you explain how the parking works now? Because it's all electronic, right? With using your phone, you just scan and pay?
Yeah, so if you've been to the new Northwest Garage on Baltic Avenue at the oceanfront, they're all license plate readers. So there's a camera that scans your license plate when you go in. And if you don't register within so much time and pay the parking fee, they get a notification that triggers enforcement. And there's like a mobile app scan where you go in and pay all digitally, hands off. And they know when you come and go, right? So it's all about your license plate.
David?
I gotta say, I haven't been on the beach in a long time doing this. Last week I went down there to 9th Street Garage. 15 seconds, scanned the QR code, put it in there, my phone, it was done.
Yeah, it's
It was
amazing.
really quick and very, very easy to do, very easy to do.
So Emily, the original agreement was for 25,000 a space, right?
Correct.
Up to 30 and 22, and then we put it on hold. And now we've got 38,000 a door, but we're getting the land contributed to the deal.
Correct.
All right, any other questions for Emily?
Motion to approve.
Got a motion for Mr. Franklin, a second for Ms. Morgan. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Thank you.
I might have to abstain, actually. I'm just, yeah, I'm a board member with Town Bank, so I'm assuming I might have to abstain. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll note one abstention. Thank you. Sorry about that.
Thank you.
Thanks, Emily. Next, we've got a briefing from Amanda Jarrett on the HRT proposal.
Good morning, Councilmember Berlucci, Chair Murphy, and members of the commission. Staff was asked to put together a PowerPoint presentation to walk you through a series of meetings and events over the past few years related to HRT and a proposal that was previously considered to be located in Corporate Landing. So again, the purpose of the briefing is to provide you the background of the Hampton Roads Transit Development Proposal for a bus operations facility in Corporate Landing, and then review the timeline associated with the various agreements. Here are the disclosures. So HRT approached the City of Virginia Beach for the development VBDA back in 2021 with interest in developing at that time a $64 million Southside Bus Operating Division facility. The facility, as mentioned earlier in the citizens' time comments, would utilize offshore wind purchased from Dominion Energy to power this facility, and it was proposed at that time to create 120 jobs. The existing HRT Parks Avenue facility that's currently in use today was no longer meeting the system's needs, and this investment would allow for a regional transit system to grow. The development was proposed to be completed by the end of 2024, again, based on the original timeframe, and in June of 2023, we understand that HRT received a grant for $25 million for the construction of the facility. So the Virginia Beach Development Authority did approve a resolution to sell 11 acres to HRT again in September of 2021 based on the following terms. That HRT would purchase the property at $200,000 an acre, which was based on the appraisal at that time, and that HRT had until October of 2022 to complete their due diligence period and to close on the property. HRT would be responsible for any infrastructure improvements necessary for the project, other than the road, and 60% impervious coverage for the stormwater treatment. So as was noted in previous discussions with this body, all deadlines for the VBDA 2021 resolution to sell the property have expired. There was never a final agreement reached between the parties that accommodated all of the various sale terms, and a binding purchase agreement that would bind the VBDA to sell this property to HRT was never executed. An option agreement was never discussed in order for HRT to control this property while the various sale terms and infrastructure improvements specifically associated with stormwater and other needs were being finalized. It's also important for you all to note that there would be 2 conditional use permits necessary for the development of this site. One is regarding the maximum building and paved area coverage for the property. The request would be for it to be 85% rather than the 65%. And then the rear property line setbacks would be requested to be 10 feet rather than the required 30 feet. And then also a CUP for the side yard setback to be 5 feet rather than 15 feet. We are not aware that a conditional use permit application was submitted to the City of Virginia Beach Planning Department for their consideration or moved through any portion of that required process. So some of this predates the staff here today, but in looking at the timeline, there were changed terms and, as I mentioned, expired deadlines associated with the resolution that was adopted back in 2021, which deems that resolution inoperative. In 2024, HRT requested that BBDA consider permitting enhanced use of the regional stormwater facility, again, associated with the impervious nature of the property. HRT initially offered $13,000 to have 85% of its runoff accommodated with the stormwater pond, and as was noted previously, that offer was increased later to $400,000 based on our records. VBDA has never offered this accommodation to any other user within Corporate Landing, and as was mentioned earlier, no terms were ever finalized. So in summary, the current situation that you have before you today is that all deadlines associated with the resolution that was adopted in 2021 have expired. There was never any binding agreement executed by VBDA and HRT that would have encumbered this property. VBDA is today actively marketing the site to other prospects and interested parties, and has expressed verbally that we would assist HRT in locating a site for the development of the city. A site in the city for the development of their site. So that's the timeline based on the research that staff conducted, and we were asked to provide that overview to you today. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have, in addition to Ms. Archer and our engineers from VHB.
Amanda, the speaker mentioned that the site had $25 million from.
We understand that there's been a federal grant awarded to HRT that's been site-specific. I've not been a party to a document that ties that grant directly to the site, but that is what we understand from HRT.
Does city staff no longer feel it's a good use?
So it's our job to be a conduit of information for you all as a body and the city council to make decisions on what you deem projects should be entertained, should be incentivized for the community. And so staff wouldn't offer an opinion on whether that's a good use or not. What we would do is take the project parameters, the investment, the wages, the jobs that are created, the tax generation that's projected for the city, provide that information to you as the body for you to give us direction. I would say another question that's been asked recently is the amount of available acreage controlled by BBDA for development and construction in the city. And as you all are aware, with the announcement of acoustical sheet metals expansion, we have 10 acres left in Innovation Park and 51 available in Corporate Landing unencumbered.
Amanda, the stormwater, can that, have we looked at it going underneath the ground, or is it just a subsurface?
So my understanding is that, and I'll look to VHB to correct me when I get this wrong, bless you. Our understanding is that we're unable to accommodate stormwater underneath the site because of the depth of the pavement that's required to accommodate the weight of the buses.
Any other questions?
So the 400 that was offered, does that offset the cost appropriately, or does it not?
So we currently have Pond C under construction that would, so we kind of took that percentage over their 60% and applied that percentage to Pond C, which would have treated that to the percentage of infrastructure for pipes. I'm looking at Matt if I bungle this. Percentage of infrastructure that's needed to create that pond to determine that amount, and that's the one that staff last felt was comfortable bringing to your body for consideration. It is noted that's just the construction cost. There is no ongoing maintenance or ongoing fee for that pond in perpetuity.
And Emily, this might help with Akil's question. what is it that we normally provide in our parks from a stormwater standpoint? So we've got a standard as far as what we provide, the properties and the various development in the parks.
So in our parks, we have, regional stormwater facilities that accommodates all the development parcels within that park up to 60% impervious coverage. So waterfalls, about 60% of that, if it's impervious, can be treated in our ponds. Anything over that is on the individual site to address for volume, not necessarily quality. Yes.
And I think, and we talked about the fact that we're running out of land and we're running out of availability in our stormwater. Any other questions? All right, thank you, Amanda. Next item on our agenda is a review and approval of our fiscal year 24-25 annual report. As you all may know, and some of the newer folks may not know, we are, just like every other board and commission in the city, are required to do an annual report to the city council every year. And the report is due, correct me if I'm wrong, Amanda, on August the 31st.
Yes, ma'am.
So staff and I put together a draft of the report. I think we could still fine tune it, but hopefully everybody's had a chance to take a look at it. I don't know, Amanda, do you want to go over some of the highlights?
Absolutely. Again, good morning, Councilmember Bellucci, Chair Murphy, members of the commission. I will pinch hit for Natalie today in giving you an overview of your BBDA annual report. She's currently filming to promote an upcoming event that we'll address in our comments later. And so happy to provide this presentation to you today. As Chair Murphy mentioned, annual reports are due from various commissions and bodies to City Council. This will highlight the term of July 1st, 2024 through June 30th of 2025, and also includes objectives and goals for the next year. So to give you some highlights of your EDIP awards, the BBDA issued 5 EDIP awards over the last fiscal year, which totaled just over $1.7 million. The project highlights are listed below. Born Primitive represented a $14 million capital investment. Atlantic Diving and Supply represented just under $5 million in capital investment. VIDAR, which you just heard about today, is forthcoming and will result in just under $3 million in capital investment in the city of Virginia Beach. Neptune Shield represents just over $2 million, and then the largest announcement this previous year was the expansion of acoustical sheet metal and Innovation Park. That total investment was $45 million and will result in the creation of 350 new jobs. So next, another very popular program that's administered through the BBDA is our Facade Improvement Grant Program. That provides matching grants to small and locally owned businesses to make improvements to their property. This past year, the BBDA awarded 20 grants totaling $111,000, which resulted in $232,000 in private investment. So this year was also the first year of our Part F EDIP program, and it was really exciting to see that policy developed, approved by this body and council, and then those funds invested in our community. And this program was structured to small, women, and minority-owned businesses, and also veterans and service-disabled companies. And so this year, first year of the program, we were able to successfully award 17 grants, totaling $144,000. So more to come on this program, but it was really exciting to see this launched from the ground up and then cash pushed out into the community to make a difference for these businesses. Our international incubator continues to be highly successful. We had 5 new tenants this year. Nose Corporation of America, which is a Japanese firm, Serious Analysis, a UK technical analysis firm, CASC, which is from Northern Ireland in the offshore wind industry, Gibb Group, again another UK company that is involved in the PPE process for the offshore wind industry, and then Valtech, again a UK company that focuses on digital transformation services and other technology solutions. So continue to see results from our international investments and give them a soft landing spot here in our international incubator. With regards to the VBDA assets, probably the most noteworthy of this year is the opening of the Dome in the northwest garage. We anticipate opening of the north garage, which is the smaller garage associated with that development, in the next few weeks. Again, Elaine Park, opening Saturday, will offer over 100,000 square feet of mixed-use retail, 350 apartments. This is, again, the city of Virginia Beach's largest public-private investment in history. So we're really proud of that project coming online. The Virginia Beach Amphitheater successfully celebrated its 28th season. They held 27 shows with over 365,000 attendees and generated just under $4 million in rent and taxes. VB National, as you know, generated more than $321,000 in income and fees, and VBDA continues to focus on making necessary capital improvements to that property. In terms of ribbon cuttings, more to celebrate. Zim had a fabulous ribbon cutting. We were honored to have Governor Youngkin here for that, to acknowledge that investment in the city of Virginia Beach. MaxBite Technologies had their ribbon cutting in 2024. Global Links, which is again a company that draws national and international attention to the city of Virginia Beach, had their groundbreaking for additional subsea cables in February of 2025. ADS broke ground in May of 2025, and then again, Governor Youngkin joined us for the acoustical sheet metal announcement just a few weeks ago. So goals for next year, always looking ahead. We will continue to have laser focus on our key industry sectors. The Hive, we're continuing to evolve programming there. We'll maintain focus on our international incubator. As was approved in the City Council reconciliation letter, this year we will have a facade improvement grant program solely focused on Atlantic Avenue. And so that will be administered by this department. And again, we will have our Attainable Workforce Housing Grant, where VBDA serves as the financial conduit for that program. Has been adopted by council and you. We're making final alterations to that ordinance, and we anticipate our first application within the next few weeks. So with that, I'm happy to take any questions. Congratulations on a successful year, and we look forward to working with you for this coming year.
Thank you, Amanda, and thank you to staff. It really has been a busy year, a lot going on and a lot of changes, so you guys have done an amazing job, and thank you, Deputy City Manager, for all of your support. We really appreciate it. All right, if there are any comments, as you all have a chance to read the annual report, I think there's still opportunity to tweak it a little bit.
Very short window.
Very short window to tweak it. And I think that was for my benefit. All right, any comments or priorities from any of the commissioners? Anything you all want to mention in the body? Nope. All right, I have one item. It is that time of year again, and we have to select an officer nominating committee. I would appreciate it if Gunter would serve again on the nominating committee, if you would mind. And David Weiner, if you would serve, that would be great. Thank you all for being willing. All right, Amanda, Director's report, again from our Deputy City Manager, Amanda Jarrett.
I know we have more to discuss in closed session, so I'll be brief, but I did want to apologize for missing the July meeting. It was for good reason. We were able to announce that day that in 2026, Virginia Beach will be host to the largest all-female surfing competition, Labor Day weekend of 2026. So the event is called Supergirl. It's not just surfing, it's action sports. We anticipate over 50,000 individuals to be in Virginia Beach on that weekend. It includes sand soccer, clearly surfing, there's a wellness component, yoga, concerts, and so they currently have events in California and in Florida, and so we will be their third location in Virginia Beach in Labor Day weekend of 2026, and this not only expands our investment in action sports, but honors our surfing culture. And so we're thrilled to make that announcement and work with them to host this event next Labor Day weekend. So apologies, but it was for good reason. And with that, we will be hosting ECSC this year, August 17th to 24th. That's a wonderful event at the oceanfront, so please do mark your calendars and attend as you're able. I would like to welcome Eric. I think I see him back there. Eric Severn is new to our team. He's a planner too and joined last week. He has a BS in geography from James Madison University and formerly served in the United States Navy as a controller. So we're thrilled to welcome him to the team. As I mentioned, Natalie is filming with Wavy, I believe, to promote our Startup World Cup. So this is the second time that this event will be held in the city of Virginia Beach. Individuals that are selected as winners of this competition are able to compete for $1 million to invest in their startup in California. We're also honored to share that this year we have 4 Virginia Beach companies that were selected to participate in the Startup World Cup. It is going to be held on August 21st at the Sandler Center from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. And again, this is not limited to just companies in Hampton Roads. Individuals travel from across the Mid-Atlantic to compete in this level. And then again, the winner will be selected to go to California and compete for up to $1 million. Lastly, I'll just note that City Council will be hosting their retreat on August 26th at the Convention Center. Lots of topics for consideration. That is a very important meeting for the council to set their goals and objectives and looking forward, not just the upcoming year, but years out, and the direction of Virginia Beach. So please do note that meeting, again, August 26th at the Convention Center. I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Amanda. Any questions for Amanda?
Thank you.
All right. Well, there are no questions. The chair will entertain a motion to recess into a closed session pursuant to the exemptions from open meetings allowed by Section 2.2-3711A Code of Virginia as amended for the following purposes. Contracts, discussion of the award of a public contract involving the expenditure of public funds, including interviews of bidders or offers, and discussion of the terms or scope of such contract where discussion in open session would adversely affect the bargaining position or negotiating strategy of the public body pursuant to Virginia Code Section 2.2-3711A30, and that pertains to Districts 2 and 10. 2, prospective business or industry. Discussion concerning a prospective business or industry or the expansion of an existing business or industry where no previous announcement has been made of the business or industry's interest in locating or expanding its facilities in the community pursuant to Virginia Code Section 2.2-3711A5, and that pertains to District 10. And finally, legal matters, consultation with legal counsel and briefings by staff members or consultants pertaining to actual or probable litigation where such consultation or briefing in open meeting would adversely affect the negotiating or litigating posture of the public body, and consultation with legal counsel employed or retained by a public body regarding specific legal matters requiring the provision of legal advice by such counsel pursuant to Virginia Code Section 2.2-3711A7, and that pertains to District 6. So we'll have a motion, a second, and then a roll call vote.
Motion.
Got a motion from Mr. Franklin? Second from Mr. Cavalier?
William Runke.
Yes.
Taylor Franklin.
Yes.
Donald Horsley.
Yes.
Atfield Jam.
Yes.
Eric Keplinger.
Yes.
Esmo Meeks.
Yes.
Kenny Morgan.
Yes.
Lisa Murphy.
Yes.
David Weiner.
Yes.
Roger Whiteson.
Yes.
All right. We are adjourned to closed session. Virginia Beach Development Authority of the City of Virginia Beach has convened a closed meeting on this date pursuant to an affirmative recorded vote and in accordance with the provisions of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act. And whereas Section 2.2-3712 of the Code of Virginia requires a certification by this Virginia Beach Development Authority that such closed meeting was conducted in conformity with Virginia law. Now therefore be it resolved that the Virginia Beach Development Authority of the City of Virginia Beach, Virginia hereby certifies that, to the best of each member's knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements by Virginia law were discussed in the closed session to which this certification applies. And 2, only such public business matters as were identified in the motion convening the closed meeting were heard, discussed, or considered by the Virginia Beach Development Authority. We'll need a motion, a second, and a roll call vote.
moved.
Motion from Mr. Runke, second from Penny Morgan.
William Runke.
Yes.
Taylor Franklin.
Yes.
Donald Horsley.
Yes.
Esmail Meeks?
Yes.
Kenny Morgan?
Yes.
Lisa Murphy?
Yes.
David Weiner?
Yep.
Dr. Weisenhunt?
Yes.
All right, thank you all, we're adjourned.
Have a good day.